questions? I ask this because only lately I've kind of realized that I have to address the issue. I get asked a lot of questions. It could happen in the street. It could be just finish shopping in the market in Tel Aviv, and I'd be doing my best to cross the street with all the produce and all the things I bought and not get run over, and I'd be stopped in the middle of the street literally as I'm trying to make it to the other side. And the guy said, "Hey, can I ask you something?" Okay. Now, okay. Go for it. So, and the question will come, all kinds of, random, but this one would be like, I always wondered, where are you from? Are you from Buenos Aires or Montevideo? Are you from Chile? I don't get it. So, I just answered, well, I was born in Haifa. And when I was a kid, I moved to Tel Aviv. And, of course, that leaves me free to go home. And, truth is, yes, when I was 12, my parents moved to Madrid, Spain, where I spent my teenage years. And when I came back, after these years and these wonderful teenage years, and as the years were passing by, and I was coming to realize how much of Spain was actually in me, how much I had taken in those years, how much I loved Spanish culture, and I loved Madrid. I was missing Madrid. I was in the bars and easy life. And anyway, it took me 25 years to get back to Madrid. By then I was a musician, and I thought maybe I should try and write some songs and do some music in Spanish. I'd never done that before, and didn't quite know where to start. None of my childhood friends from Madrid actually were in music, and they didn't know how to help me if anybody could. So I thought I'd set up some shows in a little bar in the old part of Madrid. And I started playing there, a very, very small place. And I thought maybe by playing, some people would come by and I'd get to know some people from the industry. And so, sure enough, after the third or fourth show, and I was chilling out in what they designated as my dressing room, and literally like out of a fable, in the doorway, I see this figure of an elderly man with long white hair and long white beard. He's blocking the lights. All I'm seeing is him, and with a deep Spanish voice, he just says, "Hola." This is it. Here he is. And he said, "Soy Pablo Guerrero." He says, "My name is Pablo Guerrero." So of all the names, and I wasn't at all into Spanish music in those years. I was listening to Hendrix and all kinds of Dylan, and really I was into another world. But there were a couple of artists that I did take back with me to Israel. One of them was Pablo Guerrero. And so I couldn't believe it. I stood up, sprung on my feet, and I didn't even say what an honor and pleasure. Oh my God, like thank you for coming. I just said, "Would you write with me?" And he was, of course, surprised somewhat. And in this small space, took one step back and just said, "No." And that was the end of that. Needless to say, I felt completely, why did I do that? But, he saw I was a little bit disappointed, so he invited me to have coffee. A couple of days later, he said I should come to his house, which I did. 2 days later, I couldn't wait for that, and I came to his house, and as I walked in, he was making the coffee, and he said he'd been thinking about my quest, and although he'd never done this before, he never collaborated or wrote anything with anybody, he did nothing. He would consider this, and as he gave me coffee, he sat in front of me at the kitchen table and pulled out a notebook, a little pencil, and said, "Tell me about yourself." So now I'm sitting in front of a stranger and not prepared for this at all. I've never written songs like that, but so I'm thinking, okay, I'm just gonna tell him about myself. We are strangers to each other. And I started talking, and stories came out from my childhood and as I was growing up, and personal stories, some stories I've never really told to anybody. I hardly admitted them to myself, but I don't know what was in the coffee. The stories got darker and deeper and darker, and he got really depressed. And he says, "Basta," and he sends me home. He's like, enough to him. So I was really disappointed now. I had a little apartment that I rented for this time, and I didn't even want to get out to the street. I was so disappointed and angry at myself. And then a couple of days, and suddenly I get a fax. Now, there were still faxes. This is only like 12 years ago. And a fax, and it's from Broza-Llioro. And there's a poem there, and the poem goes on, and I didn't even read it. It just says, Querido David, dear David, this is my impression of your depression. Good luck. Okay, I couldn't care less whose impression of whose depression. This is a poem, this is mine. So I sat down, wrote the music, and at this time when I was actually in Spain, I took a break from recording the album All or Nothing. But I felt, okay, now I have my first song, maybe it's time to go and check out what's going on in Tel Aviv in the studio. And I went back a few days later, and as I walked into the studio, the producer looked at me and just said, so what's new? And I couldn't wait but play him that song, which I did. And at the end of it, he was like gazing into space in some other zone, and I'm thinking, what happened? He says, no, it's great. What's it about? And I'm not telling you. I'm not going through this whole thing again. He says, no, we have to translate it to Hebrew and put it in the album. Thinking, yeah, right. And then infect an entire country with my depression or whatever it is Pablo calls it. Forget it. But he convinced me, and we did, and it became a hit. And it's called Crying to the Walls, Broza-Llioro. And I'd like to do this for you. And before I do, I'd like to recite some of Broza-Llioro's poetry, because it's so beautiful in Spanish. It goes like this. Tristeza larga. Los perros ladran en la oscuridad. La luna parece un cuchillo de hielo que abre la herida de la soledad y llora. Y llora. Y llora. La pared. שמיים של עצב עליי והלילה נוטף לאיתו כמו חלבני חרש הירח קר מלמעלה אומר לי לך ואל תשווה רגעת עליי מלאה געגוע ואני ברציף מחכה כמו ללב בעיר של דיברות אומר לי לנוע לחפש ושוב עגוע זיכרונות גופים מגופה שהוא עובר שוקע שוקע קר לבד בין הכיוון איזור וצור הכיוון איזור ובוחר הכיוון השמש זורחת בעיר לבוא ללכת שנפתחו בעיניי לחבק אותם שוב לחבק שוב אליי עקבות לא ישאר שאלך אחריי ושאר בפניי צרובות בעיניי נקוע לך זיכרונות גופי שגובר